Hi guys, I'm Andy, and today on High Five, we're building a modern and fancy mailbox. Now this project came because our old mailbox, well, the door stopped closing. And anytime it was windy and rainy, all of our mail got wet. And if you've ever had soggy mail, it's just not fun. So I've seen lots of mailboxes, especially modern ones, and figured, you know what? We could build that. So today, let's get building a modern mailbox. Okay. Sayonara, buddy.
After we remove the old mailbox, we can install the new one. Fortunately for me, my post is still usable. I picked up this modern mailbox on Amazon as I like the look of it. It's boxy, beefy, and sleek. I'll leave a link below if you want to check it out.
And now it's raining.
When you're installing or redoing your mailbox, you will need to make sure your mailbox falls in line with the USPS recommendations. The front of the mailbox should be 6 to 8 inches away from the edge of the curb. The bottom of the mailbox should be 41 to 45 inches from the street level. And finally, the post should go at least 24 inches deep. Now we can design our inner structure. Using pressure-treated wood, we will have a base plate, an upper stretcher, a front and rear post, and we'll be making 2 of these that will sandwich the initial post. I've decided to have the front of the structure match the angle of the mailbox. This happens to be 87.5 degrees. I'll use this measurement for the upper stretcher. At the miter saw, I set my angle to 2.5 degrees to achieve the proper angle. Now we can cut the lumber to length. I won't be providing measurements as every mailbox design is slightly different. In order to sandwich the post, we have to notch out a section in both of the bottom plates. Did you know this is the first time to use a depth stop on this saw? Eventually, I'll be performing these cuts with that radial arm saw to the right. Once you make both initial cuts, you flip the board around and add a spacer to get a perfectly flat notch. To join all the lumber, I'll be using my Craig jig to pocket hole all of the joints.
All right, now we've had to make some changes since last time you guys saw this. Whenever I was digging down to clear out, I went ahead and dug a little farther and found out that, well, the concrete footing on this thing was only about this big. So I had the boys help me out. We ended up digging a hole 24 by 15 inches around, or basically square. And then 2 feet down with 2 footers going about 36 inches down. So that provided a really good stable base for the post, as well as a nice little platform that we're going to put the internal structure on. So that'll give a platform, as well as that'll help the bottom from degrading. Even though it is pressure treated wood, it still can get wet and degrade over time, so that should prolong that. And then we also had to reinforce the top and the support here, so we're nice and firm. We do have it leaning this way, so we don't have any water pulling on the top. The water can flow right off. And if you can tell by video, it's raining pollen today, so this should be a fun and maybe a stuffy build. But I'm gonna go and get the internal structure on and around, and then we'll start adding some cedar planks. All right, now we've got the frame fully complete, and we had to add additional blocking just to keep it nice and flush on the outside of both the front and the back. And that's just to make sure when we put the cedar on, it doesn't bow at all. We went ahead and built the top support. So you saw me block up the top, cut the top off flush, and that's nice and level. We're gonna add a big plate to this. So now at this point, we are ready to go ahead and start adding some cedar. So I'll bring out the cedar. We'll find my angle, I'll cut the angle, and then I can duplicate that angle all the way down. I'll attach it, I'll cut off the back side here, and then we'll just work our way down, top to bottom on both sides. It's time to make this thing look pretty. Let's go. All right, now we've got all of our cedar planks milled and ready to go. And a couple things to note, you may have saw when I was milling those, but a lot of the planks are very, very wet, so they hadn't had time to dry out. And you'll see when it does that, you have all this crazy color that comes through, and that's just the grain super wet. It's not exposed to air to dry. So as soon as I milled everything to the right height, I took it outside, let it air dry in the sun, and it's been drying, or they've been drying for a few days before I actually go ahead and put the stain on them. But it was actually pretty cool to see. I've never seen that. And on cedar, the knots look like purple onions. Really, really cool. I'll have to do a close-up of that. But we're ready to go ahead and get this done. We've got this wood finish, this min wax. I'm gonna use this colonial maple, and I've already done a test up here that you can see. I think that's gonna look really good against the black of the mailbox and the trim. But you know what? I'll go and hush up. Let's get staining.
If you look closely, you'll see that I'm lining my board against the level that is attached to the mailbox. This is to ensure that we have the same angle as a mailbox all the way down. We don't want our mailbox to look like it's angled down and sad when it's full of bills. At this point, we can repeat the process by braiding in place and flush cutting the excess off the back. It is very important to flush cut and sand the front and back to ensure that it's flat. This will create a nice and even look when attaching the cedar. Now that everything looks good, we can countersink our screws all the way down. I did 2 screws per board, about 1/2 inch from the edge. All of these screws will be covered by trim later. We will be following the same process for the front, the top, and the back. Before adding the trim, I wanted to add 2 coats of external polyurethane for the cedar. This will protect the cedar as well as help keep its color from the stain. And take it from me, do not use anything but a smooth foam roller for this. I did not do that, and I have lots of embedded fibers in the poly. Initially, I picked up some corner trim, but it did not cover the screw holes, so I decided to make my own. I ripped 3/4 cedar into 2-inch and 2 3/4 strips. This will give me 2 inches from the inside of the corner to cover every brad and screw. When gluing wood that stays outside, I prefer Titebond 3 due to its water resistance. A little glue and brad nails should be plenty strong for this application. To install the trim, I line it up and brad it in place. After we install the trim, I add one last coat of poly to create a strong, watertight finish. One of the more fun and enjoyable steps is to add your house number and a light. All of these numbers have an installation template on the back. It was as easy as taping them together for perfect spacing. And finally, we add a solar light to illuminate our numbers. However, I initially installed step lights and will be replacing the lights that shine down and not out. I'll link some lights down below.
All right, now that we got the mailbox all complete, I want to disclose a few things. Number one, this is not cheap. To get this kind of mailbox, you're going to have to spend some money. Two, this project took me 3 weekends, and that's due to ordering the mailbox, having to set new concrete, letting it cure, having to let the stain cure, having to let the poly cure, and not to mention rain delays. And number three, we still haven't decided what we're doing around the mailbox at the base. Now, I've seen a lot of people that'll do river stone, rocks, planter boxes, shrubbery, monkey grass. We're just not sure yet. We really don't want to create a little barrier, so we're thinking either shrubs that go around it or some monkey grass. And finally, you're going to be the talk of the block. You're going to have people slowing down to take a look at your mailbox. You're going to have male men and women taking pictures for their wall of fame. And finally, you're going to have neighbors that say, you know what, can you make me one? And I hope this video inspires you to upgrade your curb appeal with an awesome, fancy, and modern mailbox. Until next time, have a great day.